Welcome to the Q1 Buck Poll. Tim Hart and Mike Big Buck Hoffner. Well, we have a lot of information on our show this week. We're going to kick it off with Jeff Ryder from Quincy. He's going to be talking about food plots. And you know, you don't have to have the most expensive equipment to put a good food plot in.
I'll tell you what, Jeff knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for a couple of years. He's my man. I want to pay attention to the details. He's got a lot to share with us.
We're also going to talk about tree stand safety with the Department of Natural Resources. We've got Sergeant John Wood with us today. And you know, Mike, you can never be too safe going up or down. As I know, about 15 years ago, I went down much quicker than I wanted to.
And that's why, Tim, we got our Gorilla safety harnesses, because last year we made an investment and they kept us safe all season long.
Also on the show, we've got a viewer-submitted hunt from Ryan Johnson out of Quincy. We invite you to videotape your hunts this year, or if you got some great footage from last year you'd like to share with our audience, you can send it to us here at the Q1 Buck Poll.
And lessons learned, Tim, when you get out in the woods with those video cameras, make sure the batteries are charged. Had some great possible footage this weekend, saw 6 bucks, bunch of does. And guess what? No battery.
No batteries. Brilliance, Big Buck Hoffer. That's why I'm behind the camera and we put a bow in his hands, and that's how we go out hunting. We've got all that, and we've got a few stories from last year to kind of tantalize you this year. Stay with us. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll.
Q1 Buck Poll, Michigan's biggest and best buck poll contest. Brought to you by these sponsors who support Michigan's great outdoors.
Welcome back to the Q1 Buck Poll. We're now going to talk with Jeff Ryder from Quincy, and he's going to show us some tips and techniques and some different seed that he uses when planting a food plot.
You know, Jeff, I think he's an excellent hunter, and we've known Jeff for a long, long time. I value what he has to say because he's been a very successful hunter.
We're talking food plots today with Jeff Ryder, one of our buddies who is always out in the woods and helping us out. And Jeff, you know, we're standing out here. We've got turnips and radishes.
Yep.
Now, you've got different plots all throughout your land here.
And what we're doing today is we're planting our grain plots. We're standing in a plot that we planted about a month ago, August 1st. These are called brassicas, and as you mentioned, there's some radishes. The bigger broadleafs, those are turnips. Got the big bulbs on them. And these are more for winter food time for the deer. They come in once the frost starts hitting these. They supposedly produce sugar, and they start eating them more then, and they'll mow these right down, and then when the winter comes, they'll come in here and start eating the bulbs that are growing out of the grounds of turnips. They'll just bowl them right out and just eat them right down to the dirt.
So, all right, so this is one area. Then what else are we going to do over here in this plot?
Well, what we're going to be doing over here, and we'll have some footage of that later, we got a guy, Darren Spieth, is out in front of us with the plot master of his quad, and he's disking in front of us, and we're going to go behind him and plant and fertilize. And we're kind of doing the poor man's food plots today. This is some of our methods are a little crude, but they work really good. You know, we've been doing them for years this way, and we get great results.
Well, you don't always have to have the best. What you got to do is you've got to get the seed out there at the proper time.
Right. The proper time, the proper depth with the proper fertilizer, you know, and the proper methods. And they might be a little crude compared to some of the guys with tractors and discs and drills and that sort of thing. So this is sort of poor man's food plotting today, but it works really good. You know, these methods work fantastic. We're getting great results. As you can see, I mean, this is a...
What's that?
This is just an incredible brassica patch right here.
How much land do you have total?
We, Darren and I bought 100 acres together a few years ago, and it's about, he owns half and I own half, and it's 100 acres, and we work it together as one farm. So, as you can see, we take the bigger open fields. It's a mixture of woods and open fields, and we take the bigger open fields and we kind of break them up into smaller plots, and we do that by putting screens through the middle of the plot so that it's not one gigantic plot. So yeah, we'll kind of start from point A, and we'll show Darren doing some disking, and then we'll show some planting, and then we'll show my son Jake's here with us, and Jim Maxon's with us behind the camera, and we'll show Jake covering the seed up, and we'll just do step 1, 2, 3, and 4.
We'll talk about the different steps as we plant today. We're at Jeff Ryder's farm along with Darren Spieth, and we're going to show some people some food food plots.
Poor man's food plotting.
All right, Jeff, well, we've had Darren out here doing some disking. You did a fine job, by the way, sir.
You look like you're having fun.
Yeah, exactly right. And really what he's trying to do, I mean, it's not very deep in disking this up, is it?
We got the disc set so that if you could see the ground in the camera, I don't know, but these discs are actually leaving grooves in the ground. And we want to leave this rough like this right now because the seed that we're planting today, this is a larger seed. This is a mixture of rye, forage rye, winter wheat, and forage oats.
Okay.
So it's a mixture of 3 different types of grains, but they're all larger type of seeds. So we want to leave the ground rough like this so that when we broadcast these seeds, Jake's going to run the drag over the top of it, which will cover these seeds up and knock them down into those little grooves down there. So 1 to 2 inch depth is ideal for this size of seed. And then
you're just broadcasting it out.
Yeah, I got a bag spreader. Like I told you, it's poor man food plotting. We're not drilling it. It's not a real scientific thing. I've done it enough over the years that I pretty much know the rate to go with my bag spreader, and roughly about 70 pounds an acre of the grains is what we're doing. And then we're going to go over the top with some crimson clover. We put the fertilizer down with the seed. You know, we want to get that in the ground too because fertilizer can actually evaporate. The nitrogen in the fertilizer can evaporate. So want to get it down in the soil, get it mixing in with the soil when it rains, and you know, get it down where the roots are going to be growing with the plant's roots are going to be growing. So now we'll go ahead and spread our seed, and then we'll have Jake drag that all in, and then we're going to top dress it with some crimson clover, and in about 2 weeks it'll bring your fork and knife and some Thousand Island, and it's salad time. Okay, as you can see, we got a nice smooth seed bed now, or a fairly smooth seed bed after Jake ran over it with the drag. All the little cracks and crevices are all filled in, and we got a pretty flat surface now. And the last step in the process is we're going to plant some crimson clover, or you could use other types of clover. We just choose crimson because it's an annual clover and we want it to die off next year, and we're just going to disc it back in the ground. But the reason we wanted to smooth the seed bed before we plant this is a lot smaller seed than we were planting before. And as a rule of thumb, the smaller the seed, the closer to the surface you want to plant it. In fact, we're not even going to put this into the surface. We're just going to broadcast it and let Mother Nature, the rain, just kind of beat it in, and that'll be just fine. This stuff will germinate real nice. But last step of the process, we're just going to broadcast this clover on here, and we're done. And then we'll have grains and clover growing in here.
Talking food plots, just giving you a few tips on, you know, when and what type of food plots you can plant. Always good to, you know, really give not just the deer, but wildlife in general nourishment throughout the wintertime.
Right.
Now, do you see a lot of other animals out here in this area?
Yeah, the turkeys will be out here eating on this stuff, and I don't know if so much, hopefully this will germinate before the turkeys get to it, because they like to come out.
They like the seed.
They like to come out and eat the seed, so you want to get it germinating before they get a chance to eat it all. But
all right,
that's another advantage of burying it too. Actually, a lot of guys can plant. You can plant some of these grains just by putting them on top of the dirt, and they'll germinate. But this is just a little more effective way of doing it.
All right. Well, nice job on the disking, my man.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, Darren Spieth, Jeff Ryder, giving us a few tips on food plots out here. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll, and we've got more coming up. Stay with us. So you see, it doesn't take expensive equipment. You know what it takes? It just takes some friends, and it takes your son to go have some fun driving the ATV all around the food plot area. That's what it takes.
It's stick-to-itiveness, too, Tim.
Right.
Stay with it. You'll get those deer to come in.
All right, stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Sergeant John Wood from the DNR. He's going to talk about tree stand safety. He's also going to talk about some of the rules and regulations out there to keep you safe out in the woods. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. We'll have more after this. Time now for our sponsor spotlight here on the Q1 Buck Poll. Today I'm talking to Jack Kelly, and we also have Brad Henyon. Fellas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tim.
They're with Greenstone Farm Credit Services, and we're talking about financing land. And, you know, Greenstone is known for recreational financing and helping us buy, you know, farms, land, any kind of property out there. Right, Jack?
Well, for those that don't know Greenstone, Greenstone is a financial institution that's dedicated to agriculture, dedicated to rural financing. We are currently celebrating our 95th anniversary, and we've been dedicated to those causes the entire time. We have 36 offices across Michigan and Wisconsin. Most of those offices are located in rural areas just like this, and one of the things that we can do is we can finance open land, finance recreational space, so that we can finance dreams of customers.
Yeah, get out there and enjoy the great outdoors, which is what we all like to do. And Brad, you got some stories because you guys have been helping people, again, for a lot of years.
We just had one last year that came in. We helped him finance a large tract of land over near our Grand Rapids office. And we financed in October. He came back in November and showed off his big trophy rack. That's great to see. In fact, we even had to finance a tractor to help him get it out of the woods. It was so big. Those kind of customer stories are great for us to see. We have a 95% customer satisfaction. Our customers keep coming back to us. We're there to serve them, to make it very easy for them to either purchase a home, construct a home, buy some raw land like this. Anything that they want in the rural Michigan, Wisconsin, we can provide for them.
All right, Brad, anything else you want to add about Greenstone and helping people get the property they're looking for?
We provide great service. We're a very stable company. We've been here 95 years. We have money. We want to lend. We want to help you and finance your dreams.
Well, we appreciate you guys being a part of the Q1 Buck Bowl, too. Brad Henyon.
Thank you.
Jack Kelly.
It's our pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.
Greenstone Farm Credit Services. I'm Tim Hart, and you're watching the Q1 Buck Bowl. Well, it must have been about 15 years ago, and I was up in a tree hunting November 15th, and then it was time to come down, and I had the camera strapped to my back, and I kind of got mismatched between my hand and my feet and where I was going to step next, and the next thing you know, down I went.
Yeah, bang down, quick way down. Not even using the elevator.
Oh, no, I did not use an elevator. So we thought this year we would get with the DNR and talk about tree stand safety, some of the rules and regulations. Here's my interview with Sergeant John Wood. Well, we know a lot of you like to go up into a tree stand when you're hunting, whether it's for deer or turkey or whatever the case may be. We've got Sergeant John Wood with us from the DNR, and he's going to talk about some of the different aspects of being safe in your tree stand going up and down. But we also are going to talk about some of the laws, and let's just start right there. Sergeant, tell me about them.
Well, some of the laws you want to remember for using tree stands, elevated platforms on public land is that they can't go out prior to September 1st, and they have to be removed by March 1st. In addition, they have to have your name and address in plain English that's legible from the ground. And it's important to remember they can't be permanently fixed to any trees. You can't use screws, nails, or anything like that. The only exception would be if your tree stand was manufactured with a T-bolt right from the factory. Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's talk safety. And one of the things that I think is very important, and it's hard sometimes when you're out in the woods, and that's really safety going up to get set up in the tree stand, get your tree stand set up, and make sure you're safe going back and forth. Now, what do we got here? You've got a strap that you're using?
Yes, this right here is what we call a lifeline. The important thing to remember about tree stands is you should always be attached to a full body harness, fall arrest system, from the minute you leave the ground until the minute you come back down. So unfortunately, a lot of people climb the trees, they attach themselves to the tree, and they unattach themselves and come down, but it's the time going up and the time coming down that we're seeing a large percentage of a slip and fall accident.
All right, let's talk about the safety. Give me some demonstration here.
Well, the first thing you need to do is make sure that your fall arrest system, full body harness, is TMA certified, which is the Tree Stand Manufacturers Association, which set the guidelines for safety, and make sure that it is certified. As I mentioned before, you want to make sure that you are attached to your lifeline from the minute you leave the ground. You're always attached until the minute you get back to the ground. This right here is what I call a lifeline, and you can see that there's a carabiner attached here by a prusik knot, and this knot is a real simple knot. It slides up and down real simple, but if you're to fall, it stops. It immediately locks. So what you're going to do before you leave the ground is you're going to attach yourself with a carabiner. We're going to attach it just like this. I also prefer to have a locking carabiner so I know it's not going to come up and done. And at this point, I'm now attached, okay? So as I climb up, I simply slide that as I go, and I'm always attached to this tree, okay? Once I get to the top, it's important to remember that you step sideways into your stand, that you aren't your last step climbing up into your stand, that you're going sideways. At this point, you go sideways into your tree stand, and at this point, I'm going to be double clipped because before I unhook myself from this lifeline, I'm actually going to go over and I'm going to use this clip from my tether strap, my tree strap, and I'm going to clip it on. Now I'm actually double hooked. At this point, I can unhook myself from the lifeline, and now I'm hooked. At this point, I've never lost contact. I've never been unsecured from a safety line. The other important thing to remember is this needs to be, your tree strap needs to be adjusted properly so that when you're in the sitting position, there's not too much extra slack here. Because if you're in a situation where you do have a slip and fall and you slip out of your stand, you want to be close enough to your stand that you can still climb back in the stand. Unfortunately, if you fall and you allow your system, you're not adjusted properly, and you fall 5 or 10 feet and you're hanging there, After 5 minutes, you can actually lose consciousness and possibly lose your life due to blood pooling in your legs. So at this point, I'm tethered, and if I were to slip and fall, at this point, I'm close enough where I can actually spin around and get myself back in the stand. So it's very important that that's adjusted properly for that height.
John, what about taking your firearms and your bows up the tree stand?
It's very important that you use a haul line to get your firearms and archery equipment up into a tree stand. It's a little hard to demonstrate with this being so close to the ground, but there's all types of manufacturers for haul lines. The important thing to remember is using a haul line. First of all, you don't want to climb in your tree stand carrying your firearm, okay? It's important to use a haul line. It's important when you use a haul line that the firearm is always unloaded, the action is open, and that the muzzle is pointed towards the ground. In the case of archery equipment, make sure your arrows are in the quiver, okay? And once you safely get into your tree stand, I prefer to tie mine to the seat. I simply reach and you pull that up and you can detach it, and then same reverse procedures for getting down.
The bottom line of what you're talking about is just safety out in the woods. I mean, you want to continue to go back out in the woods and hunt. And if you're going to go out there and not do it the right way, you could have an accident and you're not going to go out in the woods.
Absolutely. As I've told many students in hunter safety classes, doing everything the right way and doing it safely is not going to guarantee that you fill your tag or you get a trophy deer, but it will guarantee you that you live to do it another day and try it again.
All right, Sergeant John Wood with us from the DNR. I'm Tim Hart, and you're watching the Q1 Buck Pull. Working with the DNR has been very enlightening. And you know, Mike, we've got a lot of information coming up from the DNR. There's all kinds of ways to find out, you know, the rules, the regs, and safety precautions out there. And they have a wonderful website.
Yeah, their website is great. But, you know, Tim, you close every show and you preach safety. So pay attention, really, to what he has to say.
When we come back, we've got a viewer-submitted hunt from Ryan Johnson out of the Quincy area. So stay with us. You're watching the Q1 Buck Pull. Okay, so you're going out and you're going to videotape your hunt. The key to the whole thing, take a camera that the batteries are charged.
Yeah, you know, Tim, I thought I was pretty good at this hunting thing, but I guess I can't survive without you. I do the shooting, you do the filming.
I will be there for you this year. Ryan Johnson has helped and submitted a number of hunts over the years. Here's his group out there taking some deer.
We're sitting on the ground in a clump of trees here, and a tree down that was cut down, a big oak. Pretty hidden from any deer, hopefully. And we're going to take a doe who comes in. Here where Mitchell shot the deer. She was standing right here, right here. We've already got a pretty good blood trail going through here. So I've got that bolt hole right there through the tree. And we're going to take that out. Save that. Pretty cool this morning. Let's see what we can find here. Oh, yeah, there she is. Good job, Mitchell. That's a good mature doe. Yeah, that's a nice doe. It's probably a 3-4-year-old doe. We watched these deer forever this morning. They finally come mingling through. They put a good shot on her.
So when you're out in the woods, make sure you take your camera. Take somebody that'll have the batteries charged so you can get some great footage. But one of the things we want to talk about too is there are a number of hunters that go out there. They cannot eat or use all of the venison that they shoot. Well, what can you do with it? Take it to a local processor that works with a food pantry and donate your deer.
And, you know, in Branch County, I can speak for Branch County, we have a food pantry here. Ann Lown has headed up for the last couple of years. We've had phenomenal success with bringing deer here to feed the families in Branch County. So support it. It's a great cause.
And there's a number of groups and organizations that will donate the processing fee. That's what we have in this area. So again, if you want to talk to your local Rotary Club, Exchange Club, or whatever it is out there, they may have some money where the hunters can go out and shoot the deer and then take it to a processor. That group or organization pays the processor, and then the venison is donated to the food pantry. And I will tell you this, I'm on the food pantry board here, and it has been a tremendous bonus and plus for the people coming in.
Bottom line, it's a worthy cause. Donate.
Well, it is time to be out in the woods, and it's time to get your deer registered. So make sure you take it to any of the locations across the state, including any of your bumper-to-bumper or auto value stores. We also have Greenstone Farm credit stores that have the registration forms. But again, go on our website, q1buckpull.com. We've got prizes listed. We've got registration locations listed. And then soon we'll have all the bucks listed.
Yeah, there's no excuses. Get out, hunt, get the big ones, register. Pretty simple.
And you can win an ATV at the Soaring Eagle coming up March 3rd, 2012. For Mike Big Buck Hoffner, I'm Tim Hart. Thanks for being with us this week on the Q1 Buck Poll. Make sure whenever you're out in the woods, you stay safe.
For the latest on Michigan hunting, pick up the current edition of Woods and Water News, Michigan's premier outdoor publication. Available on newsstands or by subscription. Woods and Water News, proud sponsor of the Q1 Buck Poll.
I need another beer. Give me another beer. I need another beer. Answer your phone.
You know what I actually wanted? I was going to put the one with Willie Nelson in it with, you know, beer for my horses and whiskey for my men and beer for my horses. That's the one I was going to have. It's not. I better not put that in there. I wouldn't like that at the school should that go off.
All right.
We can do it again?
Yeah, let's go.